Critical Role Recap Season 2, Episode 54. So last week, the Mighty Nine finally trained in the handling of the Moorbounders that they picked up 3 of, and they also had a barroom brawl at the Four Corners in which they ended up narrowly being defeated. However, the drow that took the winnings had a little conversation with Bo and said basically, follow me. We need to talk somewhere private. Once they got to a private location, she dropped her disguise, and Bo recognized her as Dairon, her trainer from the Cobalt Soul, who she had been looking for. And that's where we picked up this episode, with a very long and rather unfruitful conversation between Bo and Dairon and the rest of the Mighty Nine, where the Mighty Nine basically made themselves look a little dumb in front of Dairon, and eventually Bo had the chance to speak to her. And Dairon's basically saying, I'm going to Gordranus to continue my spying stuff. And they let her know that the local authorities were on to the fact that there was a local spy using birds. And she said, basically, okay, I'm just going to go gather intelligence, and I'm not going to send any missives back at this point. I'm just going to go myself personally alone to gather intelligence. After that, they decided, well, I guess it looks like we're going to have to investigate these rifts because we can't exactly turn in Dairon for the 5,000 gold or the favor. So we'll go ahead and work on this rift mission. And they began going around town and asking about things and finding out some more information about people having bad dreams. And this one person went off and killed his whole family. And so they investigated that area and the area where he worked. And they heard some people speaking about a well and some weird things happening around it. And then Ford, while they were talking to people, spoke with a bugbear whom he intimidated into telling him that the bugbear had had dreams where these 2 voluptuous and sexy bugbears came into his room at night and did some nice things, and then told him to kill his neighbor's wolves, and so he did. So Ford followed him back to his house with the rest of the Mighty Nine, and they began investigating the area. They did find in one of the wells that there seemed to be some sort of hole that had been driven into the side of it that looked big enough for figures to go through to move in and out. Ford jumped down into the well to investigate it very briefly, but this was still the same night from after the brawls. Jester was low on spells and they needed to rest up before they wanted to get into any fights. So he just checked really quickly, and then they went back to the Four Corners and grabbed a couple of rooms to sleep for the night. Everyone took a long rest except for Bo, who just had a short rest, and then she went out to meet Dairon per their arrangement in order to have a bit of a sparring and training session. Bo learned a little bit more about her Cobalt Soul monk order and gained a modification to her current ability. She learned a better way of utilizing her extract aspects, and so now instead of learning the modifiers of one of their constitution, strength, or whatever, she now learns from doing one extract aspect their weaknesses and resistances, so that she can have more useful information for the fight and tell the rest of the party after she extracts it that, what will work and what won't work against what they're fighting, basically. After her sparring session and the little bit of training that she did, she went back to the stables where they were sleeping, essentially, and bedded down for another couple of hours before they all woke up at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, at which point they went on their way over to where the bugbear's house was and where the well was, because Ford had said he was going to check in on the bugbear. And when they went to the house, they discovered that there were 2 apparitions, seemingly, that looked like ethereal bugbears standing in the corners of the bugbear's bedroom, and they seemed to be casting some sort of spell on him, and he was having some sort of dream at the time. Nott crawled in through the window and snuck in unnoticed. However, the rest of the Mighty Nine just bashed in through the door, and this is where our only bout of combat ensued for this episode. They ended up fighting against 2 abyssal demons. I assume they seem like they're kind of succubi, essentially. I don't know exactly what they are. But the Mighty Nine actually didn't take any damage because the succubi, instead of trying to deal damage, attempted to use their wiles, use their charm in order to get them to attack each other, I assume, or something, but it failed both times they attempted to do so, and they started to take quite a bit of damage from the Mighty Nine. So they turned back into their ethereal forms and quickly made their escape. While they were in these forms, the Mighty Nine could do no damage to them. Their attacks simply passed straight through them, and so they couldn't seem to do anything at all. However, the abyssal demons, the succubi, I assume, sort of taunted them and said, hey, follow us, basically, as they flew down the well in front of the Mighty Nine's faces. And so the Mighty Nine gather around and go down the well and start to make their way through this path, this tunnel, this brief gap, whatever it is, some sort of cavern that is connected to the well. And that's where the episode ends. They're hot on the tail of these abyssal demons, and they're expecting that there is some sort of trap ahead waiting for them. However, their mission is to find out the source and stop it, and this definitely seems to be leading in that direction. So that's what they're doing. They're chasing them down here through this well and into this natural cavern that seems to connect to the well. But yeah, that was pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.